Welcome back to Stu Structures. We're here for week 3 of the Weaver train station, so stay tuned. So we are here to continue working on the Weaver train station. This was actually the Billington and Beaver Creek Railroad, although in all the videos, the pictures I have and everything, it just speaks of the Weaver Railroad because this went to Weaver from Billington. And, we're just going to continue working on that. We have a whole lot of trim and windows to put together, and I'd like to get all that finished before I put the building together on the foundation. It just makes it a lot easier to do these as individual panels. Now there's a lot of trim that goes on the outside of the building where the stucco meets the clapboard siding, and several corners and that kind of things, which obviously I can't do, but the corner trim goes on first, and then all those horizontal pieces all over the building come to the corner boards. So I can't really put those on until I have built the building as a whole, and then I can add all that trim to the outside of the building. So mainly we're going to concentrate on windows and doors and see if we can get it to the point that maybe we can mount this on the foundation this week. Let's just jump into this and see how far we can get with it. And this is kind of how we left all the walls in the last segment. There's just tons of trim work to do on all this, and it takes some time to do all that. I'm going to start with the two end walls. This one we had left in this state in the last video, and these other two long walls that I think I'm going to work on everything for the first floor and get those, because the second floor, I can put the one piece in after I put the other pieces on the foundation. So, this one I can wait till last to probably work on. I mean, I might go ahead and start, working on making those windows, the center frames and stuff of the windows. And this one, I want to go ahead and make sure I get the first floor done, but before I mount it on the foundation, I might as well go ahead and frame in those second story windows as well. And this other end, I've still got the outer frames around those upper windows to do, and then that'll finish this one. So, it's just a whole lot of trim work to do. So to begin with, I just went through and painted a whole lot of trim. Mainly I use mostly 1x4s on all this. So I did a bunch of 1x4s, and I don't want to overpaint, so I just did a few, and I'll just do a few every day or so. And this 1x6, I probably did more of this than I actually needed to do, because it's only used on the freight doors. And this just kind of gives you an idea how I do the windows. There's basically 8 pieces that wrap the windows, and I showed you the inner windows, and then I do the 2 sides and then the top and bottom of each frame. So those end walls that I needed to finish framing out, I'm going to start with this wall here and finish it. So I do the side pieces that, on either side of those windows, and then I come back and wrap the top piece on all those. This isn't perfection, but if you come back with a little red paint and just touch up the ends and touch the joints where they all meet, they actually look pretty good. So now that wall's ready to mount on the foundation, I can go ahead and put glass behind all the windows. So I just went through all my, clear stuff that I have, and this is actually plastic out of some packaging from something that I bought. I don't remember what it was, but I just cut all these and mount them behind the windows. So now this wall is ready to mount on the foundation. And the other end is a simple one to finish too, just like that one. I put the side pieces on the windows because the center frames were in before, and painted all that. And then I come back and put the top and bottom frames on that. And where the stucco meets that bottom wall, I can go ahead and put this one piece between the windows because it doesn't meet on the end walls. And once I do that, I come back and put glass in those windows as well, and that's just one more piece ready to go ahead and put on the foundation. Now the next wall I'm going to work with is this one here. And I had started putting the inner framing or, trim around the freight doors last week, but I need to continue that and finish the other windows on that bay area and trim there. And when I picked this up and started looking at it, I decided, this wall behind that I cut the hole in, it just sticks into the view of this opening a little bit too much. So I just turned this upside down and made sure I had a real sharp blade so I didn't mess anything else up, and came through and just cut out some of that side wall so that it was not visible through the front. And I think this will give a much better look inside once I get this, totally trimmed out and finished. You won't see those inner walls sticking out in the windows anymore. So then, just like I did the other freight doors before, I come through and trim all that out. And as I get this done, I can also start trimming out where the stucco meets the clapboard siding on the bottom of that. And I do the other side of that opening. And, basically this is all done. I don't see it going into every bit of this piece by piece because you've seen me do it once and there's no use kind of wasting that time in the video. But then we start on this, step out section here, and I do the tops and the bottoms of the inner parts of those walls. And then I come back and do the sides on all those windows. And then, I'm going to move on and finish framing these windows so we can move to the rest of the bay at this point. So I come back and add all that outside trim, the two side pieces first and then the top of the bottom. And that's basically all the trim around the window parts of this. Now I want to go ahead and add the rest of this trim, except for the top and bottom pieces on this. So where all the corners are, I'm going to go ahead and add the corner bracing on as well and paint it red. And then the last couple of pieces that I can add between the stucco and the siding, I'm going to go ahead and put those in, and that's basically the whole part of this trimmed out at that point in time. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the windows in this section as well, and I'm just using this acetate that came out of packaging from something. I saved it from some box and I don't remember what it was, but I just come back and cut all the pieces overside so that it'll sit inside those panes of that. And I'm just going to come back and, I use this clear Gorilla Glue and just put a little on the corners of each of those pieces and put them into place and let them sit up overnight, and the windows basically are in that section too. So this point, this is ready to go on to the foundation just the same as the other two end walls. All the rest of the trim work on this will get done once it's a whole assembly on the foundation. So the only other wall that really meets the foundation is this one here on the back side of the building. And we had left it at this state before, so I'm going to come back and just start working on all of it. So I'm going to work on the freight doors first, and I'm just doing these the same as I did all the others. I do the inside framing here, and then I start on the doors with the 6-inch 1-bys at the top and bottom with the cut in the center because they're two separate doors. Then I come back and put the 1x4s, where the doors meet and on either side of that. And remember, these doors have a small panel at the top and a small panel at the bottom. So I looked at the doors I had previously done and figured out exactly where this cross member needed to be in there. And I go ahead and put the 1x6 on the doors there to create those panels inside the door. Now the only other part on this is the outside framing that wraps around the corners of the walls. So I do the left and right side of that, the upright pieces, and then I come back and do the top and bottom piece of that, and that's basically both the doors in this wall done now. So I got to come back and add all the rest of this trim. I'm going to start the same as I did all the other windows, and I'm just going to fly through this quick because you've watched me do this too. But I go ahead and do the tops and bottoms of all the windows on the first and the second floor, and then I come back and do the side pieces of that as well, and that's basically the inside framing to all the windows in place. So then, you know, these windows, remember, were one pane over one pane. So I went and found some more 2x4 stock and cut all these center points to the windows, and I went ahead and glued all those into place. So then the next thing to do is come back and put all the outside trim on all the windows. So I start here with the side pieces and get all those cut and then into place, and then put the top pieces on and the bottom pieces on, and they overlap the two side pieces. You know, once that's all done, there's not a lot here to do. I do come back and put this one trim piece on between the doors where the stucco meets the siding, and then I come back and just touch up all the red paint and the white paint, and, you know, clean up some edges with all of that. And at this point, I'm going to skip putting the windows in this one side for now, because I'm just anxious and I want to make this look more like a building. So I come back and put these first two parts together here, making sure everything is square to the ground and square in the corner. And then I put the opposite side on here, and then we're ready to mount that back wall in. So I you know, once I'd finished all the windows and the paint and everything, I came back and we glued all that back wall in between that two sections. Now the only piece we have left is that other opposite overhang wall on the other side. And you know, here's a major oops. I don't know how I did this, but I missed, you know, one wall's a little short. So I'm going to have to come back and put a couple pieces of rows of siding in there to make that up. And now it's ready to mount on the foundation. But you know, one thing I hadn't really done yet is, you know, is work on these corners where this wood meets here. And I was doing this while I was working on some of those other walls and getting it finished, but you know, I just used this lightweight vinyl spackling, and I just came back and filled the joints in both of those corners. Well, all four of the corners. Two of them were more open and looked worse than the other two, but you know, after I get that done, then I come back and sand and clean those edges up a little bit and put some red paint on all those. And you know, now I have a nice looking clean corners on all four corners of this foundation. So now I feel comfortable with go ahead and mounting the building to this foundation. You know, and it's not a perfect fit, but it looks good. You know, this looks good on the foundation. Then now we can start all the rest of the trim. We got the windows on this back wall to do as well, because I just got ahead of myself. I was just anxious to see this and put this on the turntable for the end of this video. And you know, I like where we're going. So there you have this week's segment of the Weaver train station. You know, on film I went back and looked at this, and it doesn't look like I did a whole lot. But it takes a lot of time to do all the framing and the building out of all those windows. And you know, and at least we're getting to the point that we can put it all together as a single building, and you know, that's when I start to get excited. I mean, it's nice getting the windows and everything about done, but you know, when you can start forming it together as a square to the point that it looks like it's a building under construction, that starts to you know, give me inspiration to move a little quicker sometimes. But right now I am extremely busy in my work in the real life, so you know, I'm doing as much as I can do with the time that I have. So anyway, we'll get into this again next week, and we'll see what we can get accomplished next week. But the Weaver train station's coming along really well. So, you know, hope this inspires somebody to go out there and build a wooden structure. It's not that hard to do. You know, the materials are out there. You can even find free materials for, you know, wood and stuff like that in some cases. But in any case, the whole point to all this, and I say this in all my videos, jump out there and scratch build something, experiment, and have fun with the hobby. Happy model railroading.